What's going on, wrestling fans? It is I, Steve, and welcome to 10 Count right here on Wrestling News Go. On today's edition, I'm talking to someone who is not wearing the traditional antlers that we've seen recently on episodes of Raw and SmackDown and PLEs. It's Valhalla. It's Sarah Logan. How are you doing today? Ah, there it is.
I'm great. Thank you.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure talking to you today because there's so much happening with you in professional wrestling, but also outside. You have written a book, From the Farm to Our Table. Now, explain to me what inspired you to put this book together, because you could have easily written a wrestling book, but this is completely different.
I was looking for a book on the way we farm that I could read to my son. I have a 3-year-old, and we farm very differently, kind of unconventionally, like the way we farm kind of used to be done like back in the day. Not so popular now. So I really wanted to find a book that I could read to him that explained regenerative farming and sustainable living and stewardship of the land that just didn't exist. So I was like, I'll just write my own stinking book.
That's amazing to hear, because I have 3 kids, 7, 4, and 1. So we're always going through books and trying to figure out what should we read now, what are we into, because I'll buy every single book of Pinkalicious, but then suddenly they don't like it anymore. Well, I just bought all those Pinkalicious books. So it's cool to see that, people are putting out children's books. But again, you brought it up, and it's for your children, but at the same time, in the entire world, what do you think the reception is going to be? Because you can pre-order this book right now on Amazon.
Yeah, it comes out April 2nd. You can pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.com. And it is, I think it's going to be it's like a more holistic way of farming. And I think, being more connected with your food is never a bad idea. Being able to talk to your kids about being more connected with their food and how you can kind of personalize your food. I know a lot of kids have, like, people can't get their kids to eat meat, or people can't get their kids to eat vegetables. And I, from my own experience, the more Cash understands about the process, or we actually go out and like harvest some milk, or we harvest some vegetables, he's much more inclined to eat them when he's more involved in the process. So, and on the website, Gnome Road Publishing, they have like an educator resource where there is a paper that has a bunch of activities you can do paired along with the book, so that parents can kind of read and use, so they can use the book to teach their kids more about where their food comes from.
Oh, man, that's awesome to hear, because, yeah, everything that we have in this world, from clothes to cell phones to food, we're not really sure where it's coming from. We have guesses.
No idea how this got here. Yeah.
We have a few guesses, but we don't really have the facts there. But that's awesome to hear that there's a way to figure this all out, because, yeah, my daughter, I swear, is on a chicken nugget peanut butter sandwich diet. Like, there, as a kid, I was into soup. My parents, at least he's eating. And that was the idea of, at least they're eating something. And obviously this book is going to inspire so many people and around the world, not just, here in the United States, because there's so much happening with food and the industries and how it's made and put together and processed. It's a whole different ballgame. So I'm very excited about this for you. And of course, wrestling fans out there who have children or just want to buy the book in general and maybe put it up on their shelf.
Right.
Maybe I already pre-ordered this on Amazon. It's going to be up there very soon, right next to Medusa's book. So we'll have to see how that goes down. But again, that's so awesome. Of course, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and you are the manager of the Viking Raiders. And Ivar, we've seen this happen. Bronson Reed put out this tweet recently. MEATMania. He wants to hashtag that, baby. So hashtag MEATMania. He wants all the big men. Hey, even the women can all come on down and be in this invitational match tournament battle royal of the meatiest men meet on meat in the WWE. What do you think about this idea? Because I love it.
I think it's amazing. Like, there's so many big dudes in WWE, and they all have very different skill sets. Like Ivar, for example, he's 300 something pounds, and he can do cartwheels and backflips. And like, I think that it is a very unique time in wrestling where all the big wrestlers aren't just big smash 'em dudes. It's definitely not lost. There's definitely that, but it would just be I think it would really showcase that WWE is like the best of the best talent, and the big guys who you wouldn't think could move around like they do, and they are, and they're putting on a WrestleMania style performance. I mean, it would be there's a reason it's trending. There's a reason there's a following behind it, because it's going to be freaking amazing. So we're out pushing for it, obviously. So I would be elated if that happened. Really, really would.
Yeah, you bring up Ivar too, because you think of like King Kong Bundy and Arn the Giant or Big John Studd. They ain't doing cartwheels. They ain't doing moonsaults off the top rope. But
even Bam Bam Bigelow's moonsault was like,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, Bam Bam Bigelow would do a moonsault, but it's like I always loved his. Him and Vader would do a full. Then later on, he would kind of do the side. That's like me when I do a backflip on my trampoline with my kids. I did a backflip, kids. It's like sort of, but that'd be amazing to see. Because yeah, we already have ladder matches coming up. We have The Rock. There's so many things happening. And for you, do you have like in your brain what you want to do for a WrestleMania type of dream match or a scenario for you in general? Because, you have history with you, Liv Morgan, but is that in the cards?
I think a Riot Squad WrestleMania match obviously would be an amazing thing. But as far as like the Viking-esque, I would think doing like a mixed tag with Judgment Day would be amazing. So like Finn and Damian and Rhea versus me, Ivar, and Eric would freaking steal the show. So I think me and Rhea would match very well together, obviously. And Ivar and Eric have been on the road with Damian and Finn even before WWE. Like, these guys have been wrestling forever. So it would be a friggin' barn burner.
I would love to see that. And of course, just Liv Morgan and you and Ruby with the Riot Squad. Is there in the, I've talked to Drew McIntyre, I've talked to Heath Slater, I've talked to Jinder about this as well. The 3MB, people always, they don't remember this as such a great fond memory, but everyone remembers, the Riot Squad as a great fond memory for a lot of us. Could we ever see, you think, a reunion?
I mean, if it was up to me, yeah, 100%. Like, it would, Ruby's kind of doing her own thing right now, and she's having a successful time doing that. But, anything could happen in the World Wrestling Federation, so I think that we would all be 100% down. It's just would depend on like timing and who's working where to make that happen.
Yes, of course. And, when you came back at the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago, and I don't think, did Liv Morgan know that you were going to show up? Because the tears after, there's an interview you have after the Rumble, and Liv will not let go of you. She is hugging you. She loves you. She calls you family. Like this. Did she know anything about this?
So she, because I was there earlier, so we knew throughout the day. But I think that, there's so many emotions you can't really deal with leading up to the show. Like, you're preparing for the match and things are running at a pace where your brain really cannot process it. So a lot of times after the match has happened and your body's like, okay, I survived, we're done, you get hit with this rush of emotion. And Liv had been dealing with the road and with being at WWE all by herself, which she wasn't used to. So I think just having me there and having the come down of adrenaline from being in the match was just obviously very overwhelming for her. And it was kind of a release after a lot of pent up, angst and doing it by herself. Because we were the squad, we did everything together, obviously. So it was we all had very different things happen in our lives once the COVID releases happened.
Yeah, again, and that was such an unfortunate time because so many great, talented wrestlers, if you're not making money, well, how can we keep everyone around, I guess? But then everyone's been coming back slowly and slowly. And it's so great to see everyone come back home because it brings back, again, the fuzzy feelings inside your stomach of happiness and joy. And again, seeing you and Liv hugging, that was great. But like my first introduction to you, Mae Young Classic in 2017, you sat down and I think they just spit off questions to you. Hey, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? And you told a story, which I still can't believe aired on WWE.com, where your grandmother is petting a deer. And it's a lovely deer. And you're trying to come to your grandmother like, hey, there's a deer behind you. Like, don't do anything. And your grandfather just shoots the deer.
Yeah, I grew up in like Eastern Kentucky, so a lot of the deer don't really see anyone. A lot of the deer aren't like where I live now. There's no way you could go up to a deer. They're so skittish. There's so much hunting and agriculture and hunting dogs. And so where I live, though, it was very common to, and my mom fed him all the time. So they would come up. She was like a little Disney princess. So, but hunting season rolls around and we didn't have a whole lot of money. So we ate a lot of venison. We filled the freezer up. And the most efficient way to do that is the way my papa did it. So it was we were a rowdy bunch growing up. It was a very, I wouldn't say a super different life than I have now, because I've kind of made my way back to it in a certain degree. But it definitely raised me different, made me a lot different.
Yeah.
Today.
Hey man, and when people say what's normal, there is no normal. Everyone has a different.
Normal does not. Normal's relative, right?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what normal is. I don't know. And if it is, I don't want to be it. If it exists, the Hall of Fame is coming up though. The WWE, we have Paul Heyman, and we have so many great Hall of Famers go.
Well, Nakano, yeah.
Oh my god! First of all, I don't know how the hair all the way there, super glue,
dreadlocks picking up. Yeah,
yeah. It's amazing. Is there someone that you would like to be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Bull Nakano was a huge one. I think some of the older Japanese dudes that you don't really see around anymore. No one comes to mind immediately. I could just keep saying in my head Bull Nakano, and I'm like, no, move on to another wrestler. And she just keep going in my head.
The big one online, everyone wants Bray Wyatt. Everyone wants Bray Wyatt to be inducted into the Hall of Fame because unfortunately we lost him, and he was to a lot of people, the connection, the person who inspired them to be who they are in this world. And Bray Wyatt to me spoke to me. I loved him. He was great. I didn't know him personally. Do you have like a Bray Wyatt story? Do you know him personally? What was your relationship like with him?
I mean, my relationship with him goes way back to when I was just doing extra stuff in WWE in like 2014. I was an extra, and I was talking to Bray Wyatt about Sister Abigail stuff. Like I was a very, sweet looking young girl who had a little squeaky voice, and we were talking about how it'd be perfect if like the Sister Abigail thing happened. And he was always someone who, and I mean, I think a lot of wrestlers there say this today, like he was a person who really strived for other people to do well. Like he was always putting my name in there and trying to get me on, and because I was doing so much extra stuff, like I just kept showing up. That's how I got hired. People just assumed I worked there until I did work there. But he was really nice and sweet and was always down to give advice. Like, especially when I started doing this Valhalla stuff, he had a lot of good, like, he would just randomly think of character ideas for me and write me about it. And it was just such it's an incredible resource to have character ideas brought to you. You're like, of course I will do anything you say, like, obviously. And it was just a big hit to the wrestling world. Like, as someone with young children, I'd have, and you have, like, I just seeing those kids and, trying to just be whatever you could be for them, bring them any kind of happiness you could bring for them, to like be there for JoJo, and it just like brings tears to my eyes to think about, and I pray for them constantly. That's such a hard, it's something I can't imagine, and so at TV a few weeks ago, I saw Bray Wyatt's kids, and I was in my makeup and my paint, and I looked, like I do, and I bent down and said hi, because usually I scare children. Unfortunately, I don't like that about my character. I don't like to scare kids, but Bray's kids like loved it, and I got down and they were like, "She looks like Daddy," and they were picking up my dreadlocks, and it just like definitely went in the bathroom and cried for 20 minutes after that. But he has left such a mark on the wrestling world that can only be left if you just did good for a very long time, either professionally and personally and family wise. And like, I just want to offer them nothing but like love and support and hope. And I just try to pray for them every day. And it's such a hard thing. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing so much, because at the time, we would see him step away and you'd read things. Oh, health reasons. You're like, okay, well, you know, you don't know when you think of you don't know the distance of what it is. You think, oh, he has a cold, or you know, stuff like that. But you know, thank you for sharing so much passion about him, because I actually did buy. You know, I was when he passed away, and because on WWE.com, and I think they're still doing this, if you buy Bray Wyatt merchandise, it goes straight to his family.
Oh, amazing.
So if you buy a shirt, a mask, a poster, anything of Bray Wyatt, it goes right to JoJo and his kids. So, you know, if you're a Bray Wyatt fan like I am, or just a good person who has kids, this is, I think, a great way. If you can connect to them individually, this is a great way to make sure that at least financially they're taken care of, because, you know, you got me in tears a little bit as well, thinking about not being here for my kids to give them just be a dad, just be there, not money, not this, not that, just be there. And so
fathers are so important. Fathers are like can't be without a father. You know, you're at literally every statistical disadvantage if you do not have a father. Like, you know, and I'm a mother, and you know, like I feel irreplaceable, you know, as Cash's mother, but like statistically speaking, if you do not have a father, like it is rougher for you than not having a mother. So it is something that I just heard for those children, that, you know, when I heard for JoJo being put in the position to have to be a mother and a father, you know, I know Taylor's helping a lot, Bray's brother. I know he's really stepped up and is being, you know, the father figure that those children, you know, need and want. And luckily they all live close to each other, so that community is there, and it's really given. I think it always makes you appreciate family more when you're in such a need, you know. So I don't know intimately, but I would like to think that JoJo's being very well taken care of by Bray's family and by the community she's surrounded herself in. Like, community is so important, especially in times like that.
Of course, and I know many people want Bo Dallas to don the Fiend mask and come back as the Fiend, to keep that going, and I would love to see that too. I'd love to see the connection, the continuation of the Fiend, and Bo Dallas being involved as well as the brother of Bray Wyatt would be absolutely outstanding. You know, again, it's just so much happening with the Hall of Fame, so hopefully that happens with him, and with WrestleMania coming up 2 nights, MEATMania, then of course your book, From the Farm to Our Table. Again, final question about that book is, what do you expect the reception to be for this book? Do you expect everyone to be like, oh, man, this is good? Like, what do you want people to come up to you and say, like, thank you?
I would like that if the book could help children and parents get into better and closer relationship with their food. Like, farming, especially local farming, is so important. I think it was a very big hit after COVID. Like, know where your food comes from, because we're only a few days away without food from a disaster. So, like, please connect to your local farms. Please reach out. There's a company called the Weston A. Price Foundation. You can go on there, westonapricefoundation.org, and it just has tons of resources that connect you with local farms. And I hope that it encourages families to go to the local farm, maybe get a couple meat rabbits, maybe get some chickens, maybe start growing herbs in your windowsill. Like, growing your own food is a lot more realistic than a lot of people think. So I hope it kind of gives people that, you know, kick in the tuchus to go to a local farm or just start growing something themselves.
I sure hope that this interview has inspired at least one person to decide to change their ways. Just one person believes in you. And then so on, 2, 3, that song, I love it so much.
Yeah.
But Valhalla, Sarah Logan, hopefully someday we see a Riot Squad reunion. But all I have to say is right now is that pre-order April 2nd. Get that book now, folks, because, you know, everyone put their kids in front of an iPad, in front of the TV. How about you sit down with your kids, read a book, learn something, and hopefully we get Bray Wyatt in the Hall of Fame. That's all I have to say about that. But
if your kid doesn't sit down and listen to, and like, Cash rarely sits down when I read a book, but I will scream it to him anyway. Just read to your kids. Even if they're like not really feeling it at the time, just scream, yell at them anyway.
Yeah.
Or scream, read at them anyway.
I'm going to read the Mick Foley book. So I lost my effing ear. Oh, that's the first line of the book. Oh, boy. I can't be reading that. But again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor talking to you today. And I hope everyone goes out and buys your book on Amazon and so many different websites as well. And WrestleMania is coming up and so much is happening. Hashtag MEATMania. Make it happen, people. Make it happen. I've been Seafall. She's Valhalla. Have a wonderful day. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? First off, I'm supposed to wrap up. Michael Cole, the Antlers. Does he have a pair now? Did you make him a pair?
No, I did not make him a pair. I don't have. I guess I could bring him this deer head, but it's a special thing. You have to be bestowed the antlers. So we'll see when they make appearance. No one knew I was doing that, so
no one
just
knew.
Gonna be no one knew.
Not Michael Cole.
No, especially not Michael Cole. That reaction of his was 100% organic, and he had no idea what's happening. So it was he just really loves those stinking antlers. So I'm just gonna keep trying to integrate them as best I can. Yeah,
I love it. I love it so much. Now I will wrap up. WWE, I apologize. I'm sorry. I had to ask that Michael Cole question. It had to be asked. So thank you so much for being here. I'm T-Fall. She's Valhalla. Buy the book. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.